What's up, everybody? We're back at it here. It's kind of late. People are going to bed. Another day of vacation over. Played some golf. Went to a barn today for a hangout. Had a campfire with some s'mores with the kids. It was a great day. But I'm here now to talk about yesterday. I think it was yesterday. The defense's case in chief for the YNW Melly case, day 16. Tomorrow, Thursday, I'm recording this Wednesday night. It might not play till Thursday morning. But Thursday are closing arguments. I want to make sure I got this video out talking about the entire defense case in chief, one witness. But we'll talk about how that might be okay. Because if it encompasses the entire defense's case and they feel like their case is strong enough to go there, then that's fine. And you don't need to overdo it. You don't need to pretend you have witnesses that aren't helpful to you. And I had somebody reach out to me that actually is in a fantasy football league with me and messaged me and said, "Hey, are you the guy that does YouTube?" Because you could tell from my name on there that, if you connected the dots, you could figure it out. And they did. And I was like, "Why are you asking?" Basically, I was like, "What did I say? Something embarrassing?" Probably. And they were just like, "No, I'm following this YNW Melly case. I watch your videos on it." And then today or yesterday, they mentioned me. I said, "Hey, is it normal for a defense's case in chief to be so small or be so short?" And I said, it's not that uncommon. Some defendants and defense attorneys don't call any witnesses. Sometimes they call one, sometimes they call a bunch, like Mark Eiglarsh. And if they do call a lot of witnesses, you better believe that is going to be something they mention in opening, something they mention in closing, something they try to drill home to the jury. Look at all this evidence we have. We don't have to produce anything. We produced all this evidence. But it's actually more common for them to have a little bit of a shorter case than the state. In this case, one witness, usually a short case in chief means one of two things. They're very confident that the state did not prove their case. And because the state did not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, they don't need to put on a bunch of witnesses and evidence. Or number two, they've got nothing. And if you've got nothing, then you're stuck with nothing and you don't put anything up because you got nothing, right? This is probably somewhere in between because I think they put up a witness that I felt was very important for them that summarized basically everything they're trying to argue and all the important points. And we'll talk about at the end why they might not have needed to put up other experts or other witnesses to combat some of the state's arguments. So we'll get there after we listen to this witness together. A lot of people had a lot of things to say about my hair, saying what a mistake it was to cut it all off. I didn't. It's just a man bun. It's still there. It is just easier to have it up as the day goes on. So that's why it's there. And then there are other dudes in here that totally trashed on the man bun, which I accept. I accept. Most of my friends do as well. So that just puts us in a friend group together. All right. So let's get into Adrian Davis's testimony. Been friends with Melly and all the guys, the victims and everything, basically forever. They were smoking and drinking that night. They fell asleep at the studio before they left. And that is where we are going to pick up basically the entire defense's case in chief. We are going to watch in 10 or 11 minutes that can be summarized here in the Adrian Davis testimony. So this is Adrian Davis. We are going to watch it here together and we will comment as we go. And this is the evidence that the defense has put on outside of cross-examination and other things they did during cross. They entered some exhibits and things like that. But this is basically the defense's entire case in chief. Let's watch it together.
That you all left the studio.
Yes.
Did you leave the studio earlier than what was scheduled?
Yeah, I believe so. So we all in our sleep.
We tell the jury who got into the
Me, Jacoby, Trayvon, and Tate, Trevius.
So not Melly. Melly did not get into the red Mitsubishi when they left the studio. They left the studio early. I may have skipped the part where they said he was like there was no beef. Nobody was fighting when they left the studio. But they were falling asleep. They didn't want to waste the studio time, so they left. And Melly did not initially get in the red Mitsubishi.
You know who got into the Jeep?
Cortland, Seth, and Judy.
Where were you going?
The two defendants and the two victims got in the Jeep. We already know that. Where were they going? They were going to Melly's house.
Did anyone fall asleep in your car?
Yeah, we about all did except for the driver.
Confirm that everybody fell asleep in his car because we know The other guy that testified that was in the front seat of that red Mitsubishi fell asleep and never saw or heard Melly get in the car. They're going to have to explain that away. They're going to have to explain how Melly was not in the gray Jeep when the shooting took place. That's why they called this witness.
Time that you were woken up before you got to the house.
Yes.
What happened?
We pulled over, and that's when Melly got in the car with us.
You know.
They pulled over, and that's when Melly got in the car with us. So this is an eyewitness testifying for an alibi for Melly that he was actually in the red Mitsubishi. He doesn't know why or anything like that, but they pulled over and he was woken up when Melly got into the red Mitsubishi. Why didn't the other guy that testified see this? Well, he didn't see it because he was asleep. Admittedly so. He testified to that he was asleep, and when they got to the house, he got woken up, and Melly wasn't in the car when he woke up, but he was asleep for a lot of the time, so it is possible that Melly got in the car while he was sleeping, and this eyewitness is taking the stand and testifying under oath. This is evidence that the jury must consider saying Melly was in the car in the red Mitsubishi.
You know where you pulled over?
I don't really remember.
Were you woken up?
Yeah, but
Why?
I was getting pushed over a little bit.
And are you 100% sure that this young man got into the red Mitsubishi?
Yes.
Usually the judge won't let you say, are you 100% sure, as bolstering, but they allowed in this case. There was no objection. Now, there's two ways to look at this. He's telling the truth. Melly is innocent, not just not guilty or not proven, but he is innocent of these crimes. He did not commit these crimes, or this guy is lying. Jurors don't usually like to outright say a witness is lying. So putting that pressure on them as the defense is important to say, this guy took the stand and said that. If you think he is just a complete liar, then fine. So for a jury to convict Melly at this point, they're going to have to say Adrian Davis is a bold-faced liar. They do not believe him because he is 100% certain, and he says it again multiple times, that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi and they drove to the house. There's more corroborating things and testimony that this alibi sticks, and it wasn't after the murders were committed. And we'll get to that now as well.
What happened to the Jeep?
Well,
Where'd you go?
So I think it froze there for a second. So then he says, what happened to the Jeep? And they say, the Jeep just kept going. We don't know where it's going, but it just kept going.
Ready to make proceed?
because I was getting pushed over a little bit.
And are you 100%? Did he have to unlock the door?
Yes.
You know who has the keys to Melly's house on October 26th in the early morning hours?
Jamel and Borton, the only one who had keys to the house.
Did you have a key?
So who had keys to the house that you were going to? Just Jamel and Cortland Henry. The two defendants, the only two people with keys to the house. So the only way they could get into this house was with Melly and Cortland Henry.
A key to the house?
No.
Did Williams have a key to the house?
No.
Did Christopher Thomas have a key to the house?
No.
Did Trevon Glass have a key to the house?
No.
Did Jacoby Miller?
No.
And how about Dontavius Williams? Did he have a key?
No.
Okay. So the only two people you know who had a key to the house was this young man
Yes.
and Cortland Henry.
Yes.
Did you see this young man unlock the door of the house?
Yes.
Who was the last person to get out of the red Mitsubishi to go inside the house?
Trayvon, he was in the costume.
He was in the car.
So they go in the house together. He sees Jamel Demons open the house door. They all go in together, and Trayvon or whoever was sitting in the front seat, which is the guy that testified, but he was still asleep in the car. They all go inside and go to bed before he gets woken up and comes inside and goes to bed, which explains why he never saw Melly in the car, why he didn't see Melly get in the house. So again, they both can be telling the truth. because the other guy even admitted that he was asleep. He didn't see Melly get in the car or out of the car. He didn't see Melly in the house, but he didn't say for certain that Melly did not get in the red Mitsubishi or did not go in the house. He just says he didn't see him. So they're giving the jury a way that that person didn't see Melly get in the car or the house, but it still could happen. So they are not calling the other person a liar. They're just saying he was asleep when this stuff happened, which again is a pretty good strategy in saying, like, this guy's telling the truth and it's totally plausible how all this connects together. Will the jury believe it? Who knows?
The car, asleep when you got to his house?
Yeah.
You see where Melly went?
To his room.
And where was his bedroom?
When you first walk in the house, can't miss it's right down the left.
Okay. This is a 1 or 2 story house.
2.
Where did you go? Where did Dontavius Withers go? Where? I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
Do you know where Dontavius Withers went?
To his room upstairs.
Do you know where Trevon Glass went?
To the room upstairs.
This is kind of where he just says everybody goes to their own room when we got there.
And this young man went into his bedroom.
Yes.
How many people went upstairs to go to sleep?
30.
And you?
Yeah.
That would be,
Me, Jacoby, Melly. Well, no, Melly was downstairs in his room. Me, Jacoby, Fetty, and Tay. So 4 of us.
okay. And Melly went to his bedroom?
Yes.
Did there come a time in the early morning hours that you were woken up and heard some distressing news?
Yes.
So the timeline is important. Melly gets in the red Mitsubishi. They all go home, and then they get distressing news. I apologize, by the way, if it's freezing here and there. Wi-Fi might not be the best on vacation in another state. Not the perfect setup. But you all are asking about what's going on in the Melly case. Get a Melly update before closing. So I'm trying to get that to you. So hopefully you still enjoy it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to our page. Hit the reminder bell. All those things. So the timeline is important. They get there. They all go to sleep, including Melly, and then they get the call.
What did you hear?
That second Julie was shot.
When you heard that, did you see Melly in the house?
Yes.
Did you see Melly how he was dressed in the house?
Yes.
What was he wearing?
Shorts and t-shirt.
So he's wearing the new outfit, not the outfit that was in the video, which again, they have to show why did he change. He was wearing a certain thing at the studio, wearing something different at that or later. He changed when he went to bed, makes total sense. And it explains, why they don't have the clothes testing or blood on them or anything like that. Again, checking a lot of boxes here, providing Melly an alibi that he was not in the car.
Upon hearing that Zach and Julie, and I really should use the correct names, Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas, were shot. What did you guys do?
We were already dressed and stuff, so we just left with Fredo's house.
Was anybody upset or crying?
Yeah, we all were crying.
Was this young man crying?
Yes.
Are you sure of that?
Positive.
Melly was crying when he found out, just like the rest of them, that their best friends for all these years had been shot. I mean, this is powerful stuff to me. I mean, if you believe this guy, you got to vote not guilty. I think the state provided a lot of evidence, but this is compelling as well. So it's something we got to think about and balance. And let me know in the comments if this has affected your vote if you're on the jury. And let me know right now before closing arguments where you're leaning, guilty, not guilty.
And where'd you go?
Fredo's house.
That would be Fredo Bang.
Yeah.
You know Fredo Bang's real name? Trevor Gibbons, by any chance?
I think I saw it.
Did there come a time after you got to the house of Fredo Bang that Cortland Henry showed up?
Yes.
Cortland Henry tell you all what happened?
Yeah, he said it was a drive-by.
Objection sustained, hearsay, good objection sustained. The jury still heard that Cortland Henry said it was a drive-by. He shows up later alone. So this is, again, a subtle way of pointing the finger at Cortland Henry, which is part of their defense. And again, we're going to talk about how this encompasses their entire defense. It crystallizes it. We know exactly what it is. We know exactly what it's not, because sometimes it can get confusing in cross-examination because defense attorneys are still going to poke holes, even if it's not one of the main focuses of their defense. After this is over, we are going to break down specifically what I think the main focuses of their defense are.
When Cortland Henry arrived at Fredo Bang's house, was Melly there?
Yes.
Did you eventually leave that house?
Yes.
Approximately what time did you leave that house?
I really don't remember.
Where'd you go?
At the Jamel's house.
Who went with you?
Jacoby and Fetty.
By the way, when you first learned that Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas were shot at the house with Melly, did anyone get on the phone?
Yeah.
Did anyone have any problem locating the phone?
Yes.
Who was that? You.
It's a little like side argument that it's not always his phone. Somebody else could have been using it. He doesn't know where it is.
For a minute, you were telling the jury that you went back to Melly's house.
Mm-hmm.
You got into yes or no?
Oh, yes.
She can check down. How'd you get in?
The door was unlocked.
Were you aware whether or not Melly had a contractual agreement to do a video shoot that day?
Yeah.
And again, Melly looks bad because he went to do that video shoot. He's saying he had a contractual agreement. How would he know that? Hearsay, most likely. They let it get in. It doesn't really make him look any better. Pretty sure you can break that if two of your best friends just died, especially if they work in the arena with you, basically, that you're doing this on. But again, they try to rehab that a little bit with this witness if they can. He is a eyewitness in the thick of it, knows what's going on.
Right. I know you have money if you can go to the music video.
He would have lost a lot of money if he didn't go, so he had to go. All right. We'll see if a jury believes that.
He was upset.
Like crying at Frito Bank's house?
Yes.
Were you crying?
Yes.
But you all grew up together?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Now, did you in fact tell this what happened on October 25th and 26th to this particular prosecutor?
Yes.
Were any of the lawyers present?
So he asks, did you tell the prosecutors here in this courtroom everything you just told us tonight? That Melly got in the red Mitsubishi, he was at the house, clear alibi, Melly couldn't have done it, Melly is innocent. Did you tell them? And he said yes. Again, crystallizing the defense of incompetent investigation, incompetent prosecutors focusing in on Melly. Once they had their guy, they didn't want to do anything to jeopardize that. They didn't even look into anybody else. That is a big part of their defense, and they even get that out of this witness, which is interesting because he's not a law enforcement officer.
Did you tell the prosecutor when you spoke to the prosecutor? Were you under oath?
Yes.
Sworn to tell the truth?
She's right. He's annoyed, but she's right. That is improper bolstering. But he also got in the fact that none of the defense lawyers were there. Whether or not this witness answered that question, the jury knows None of the defense lawyers were there. So the defense lawyers weren't making up this statement. They weren't pressuring him. This was his statement way back when he talked to prosecutors, again, giving it more credibility, in my opinion.
Are you 100% sure that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of the shooting of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
And that was at the house?
Yes.
Are you 100%
That's got to be speculation.
sure?
How can he be 100% sure when Melly found something out? I think that's speculation or based on hearsay at the very least.
That when
I would have
people
objected this whole line of questioning, but I think it was really effective, the fact that it got in.
were getting on the phone, that this young man was looking for his phone to call people?
Yes.
May I have one moment, please?
And that's the end of it. So this crystallizes the main focus of the defense's case. And the main focus of the defense's case, we're going to talk about cross, we're going to talk about redirect. Well, we'll hit that right now. Cross, basically, here are all the things you don't remember about that night, but of course you remember this. Are you watching the trial online? Other people using other people's cell phones. I didn't think cross was particularly effective in this situation. On redirect, the lead detective never even talked to you, basically. They didn't even investigate into what you said. And then that's it. The defense arrests one witness. Case closed. That's it. I think that's only one witness that they called, unless I'm forgetting somebody, which is possible. So that is the defense's case in chief. So what are their main defenses? Because when they only call this witness, they're not as focused on a bunch of other defenses. So first, one of their main defenses, Melly was not in the gray Jeep when the shooting happened. Number 2, he was in the red Mitsubishi. Number 3, he was at the house. Number 4, he found out when everybody else found out. Number 5, he was sad. He was not fighting with his friends at the studio. He was crying with them. He was calling people. He was trying to do what was right. Then, additional to that, the prosecutors didn't want to hear this story. They didn't want to hear this alibi. They didn't even investigate it. They didn't even investigate the fact that Cortland Henry came and told a lie about the drive-by and got there later than Melly. The lead detective didn't even want to investigate this. So it crystallizes the incompetent and incomplete investigation, the focus in on Melly, and how they just wanted it to be him. So, what is their defense not? It is not calling an expert to try to disprove the trajectory analysis that the state's expert put on. It is not to disprove the cell phone pings here and there. It is not to disprove what happened at the studio and who got into what car. They all agree that Melly got into the gray Jeep at first, but then he got into the red Mitsubishi. They don't even care whether there was a drive-by or whether somebody inside the car committed the crimes, because Melly was not in the car. That is a moot point. They do not have to prove or disprove, I should say, that trajectory analysis, because they are arguing Melly was not in the car. And I expect the alibi to be a big part of closing. Now, of course, they're going to poke holes in the state's evidence. That's what they always do. The state didn't prove this. The state didn't prove that. The trajectory analysis wasn't great. Cell phone data is inconclusive and often inaccurate and produces inaccurate information. They're going to make those arguments. But at the end of the day, if Adrian Davis and what Melly is saying through his lawyers and cross-examination of these witnesses, what they're saying is true, it couldn't have been Melly, whether the shots came from inside the car or a drive-by shooting. Could have been Cortland Henry. Could have been 14 other people that they wrote down, all these other suspects that they didn't even investigate. They didn't go off one of the eyewitnesses to where Melly was to support his alibi, Adrian Davis. They didn't even want to look into that because it was focused and targeted on him. It was incompetent and incomplete. It was the worst investigation the FBI agent had ever seen. It was the worst investigation the trajectory analysis expert had ever seen. That's what I expect more of the defense's argument to be. On the state side, they're going to build all these lies. It was clear from Melly's phone. He was in the car. It was clear from the shot trajectory. It came from Melly right where he was sitting. We saw where he got in the car. There's no video of him getting out of it. Nowhere did these cars stop at the same time and switch passengers. Adrian Davis is basically lying. They have to say that. They have to say Adrian Davis is lying for his friend. Now, the defense again can get up and say he's not just friends with Melly, he's friends with the victims in this case too. And he's friends with Cortland Henry. And he came and basically testified against Cortland Henry and for Melly and against the victims, I guess, if you think that that's what this is. So it's going to be a back and forth battle, and a lot of it is going to focus on what Adrian Davis said. This is an incredibly important part of the trial. It lets us know exactly what the defense is arguing and what the jury, it gives the jury what they need to hold on to if they want to find Melly not guilty. And I would be going out on a limb to say if the jury finds him not guilty, I think they believe he's actually innocent. Because I think that might not be true. I guess they could have disregarded Adrian Davis and just said they don't think the state proved their case. Sure, that's possible. But I would lean more towards they think he's innocent if they find him not guilty of this crime. So let me know where you think. And we'll throw 3 options, right? Guilty, not guilty, or innocent. Like, do you just think the state didn't prove it, so you're not guilty? Do you think he's guilty? The state did prove beyond a reasonable, or do you think he's innocent at this point based on this testimony? I'm really interested to hear your comments and look at it later on. Please hit that like button and subscribe and do all the things and let me know what you think. Again, I apologize if the quality was not as great as it usually is from the Wi-Fi mics, whatever it may be. I appreciate you all being with me for this ride. It's almost over. We're going to have closing arguments and a verdict at some point. So stick with us here. Let me know what you think, and I hope to see you in a future live. But for now, I'm out of here. It's time for bed. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at Tragos Law is our handle. And don't forget to listen to the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, The Lawyer You Know.